Fantasy Baseball Picks and Bets presented by Prize Picks, JT Hayes, RunPureSports.com, also RunPureBets.com. You can find me on the Twitter.com at JT Hayes Jr. And look, if you love sports, if you love the games, if you like to wager a little bit on the games, then there's no better place for you to be than PrizePicks.com. Very simple concept. They're going to set a line using DraftKings points, DraftKings scoring. Your job, very simple, pick the over or under that you think that player is going to do on that given slate in that given game. And we're here to help you. 7 days a week we put out these videos. And for golf especially, a couple of times more on the Mayo Media Network. Hopefully you're a subscriber to the Mayo Media Network. And in order to get started, very simple. You just go to prizepicks.com, enter code MMNMLB. That's MMN, like Mayo Media Network, which hopefully you're subscribing to. MLB, you'll get a $100 deposit match. So MMN, MLB, $100 deposit match. Like this video and subscribe to the Mayo Media Network so we can keep bringing you these videos every single day of the week and help you win at prizepicks.com. So first and foremost, happy 4th of July weekend to everybody watching this on Monday, July 5th. I'm recording this on Sunday night, the 4th of July. And for Monday, we've got a 2-game early slate and then a larger slate following that. I'm going to talk about a couple of picks I like on each slate, starting with the early slate. The St. Louis Cardinals, they come out of Coors Field in Colorado. They head into San Francisco and take on Kevin Gausman, who has been one of the best right-handed pitchers in Major League Baseball all season long. He hasn't slowed down with the changes to the game of late, and I like Gausman in this matchup, and as a result, there's a couple of Cardinals that I'm going to do something that I don't like to do, which is I'm going to take the under on a couple of these lines here for the St. Louis Cardinals. Prize Picks lines. Paul Goldschmidt, under 5.5 fantasy points, and Nolan Arenado, under 5.5 fantasy points. Look, these guys are great baseball players. The St. Louis Cardinals team as a whole has not been doing well of late. They didn't really do all that well in Colorado this weekend. Yes, they got to the Rockies bullpen late on Saturday. Other than that, it's been much more of the same for the Cardinals. Just not able to produce a ton of offense, despite the fact that they have a lot of individually, it appears, talented players. Now, Paul DeJong is back. He's finally healthy, and maybe he'll come around. But Goldie and Arenado, a little bit disappointing. Of course, Arenado, his first season out of Coors, out of the thin air, and he's been good. He's been good, but he hasn't been as great, obviously, as he was in Colorado. And I think 5.5 is a tight line. I think it's a very close line, but as good as Kevin Gausman has been in that ballpark in San Francisco with the Rockies coming out, having to travel from altitude on Sunday night, I'm going to go ahead and take the under on the 5.5 for Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado on Monday night. Now, next slate, obviously a pretty big slate. And again, it's Monday, it's travel day. We'll see who shows up and who doesn't. We'll see which bats travel because Mondays, Thursdays have been a little bit lower scoring as we've seen this year with players tending to get used to their new surroundings. Teams that haven't traveled have done a little bit better, but I don't love any of the teams that haven't traveled on the Monday night slate. So I'm going to go with a couple of guys that I think are in pretty good spots to take the over on, which is what I like to do more often than not. And I'm going to start with Jose Abreu. Big home run on Sunday. Wasn't enough to get the White Sox over the hump against the Tigers, but the over-under is set at 7.5, and they're taking on Bailey Ober. Bailey Ober, talented guy, but Minnesota's bullpen is just almost non-existent. And Bailey Ober is a guy who I think, like a lot of these pitchers that we're seeing, promoted to the major leagues, not so much because they're ready for the major leagues, but more so because the team is simply out of arms. A bunch of injuries in the Minnesota Twins starting rotation, and throughout the pitching ranks there has brought Bailey Ober up to the big leagues, and I like the over on Jose Abreu, 7.5. Another guy that I like the over on, it's my guy Ronald Acuna Jr. Man, this guy is outstanding. Another home run. Even though, and it was a tight game on Sunday. Man, this was an awesome game to watch. The Marlins and the Braves on Sunday. Acuna got the scoring started with a home run. I believe it was in the third inning. And they go into Pittsburgh. They're going to take on Chase DeYoung. Chase DeYoung, easily one of the worst pitchers on the Monday night slate. The over-under is set at 9 on Ronald Acuna Jr. I think he's going to get there. He's got a number of ways that he can get there, whether it's through power, base hits, stolen bases. I think the Braves are in a pretty good spot, even though they're traveling from Sunday in Atlanta into Pittsburgh. Going to take the over on Ronald Acuna Jr. at Pittsburgh. Once again, prizepicks.com, enter code MMNMLB. That's MMN, like Mayo Media Network, MLB. Get a $100 deposit match. Like and subscribe to the Mayo Media Network. And a lot of things are going to change between the time that I'm recording this video and Monday's slate. That's why you should come on over. RunPureSports.com. Enter code RPSHeater25, RPSHeater25. For Monday night slate, we're going to have a playbook. We're going to have a slate strategy. We're going to have some core plays up. And our Discord is always the place to be, no matter what sport you're grinding for daily fantasy sports. RunPureSports.com. RPS Heater 25. As always, a ton of news in Major League Baseball, an outstanding week of action in the game, and we'll start with what continues to be the biggest story in the game, which is the change of what pitchers can and can't use to help them grip the ball. And a couple of really exciting, interesting performances this weekend from guys who obviously were not affected, at least in these performances. Kenta Maeda, 10 strikeouts against the Kansas City Royals on Sunday. Outstanding performance. Nick Pivetta goes into Oakland and just dominates Boston with a 1-0 win on the road. Alex Cobb, outstanding performance against the Baltimore Orioles on Saturday night. And Jordan Lyles, also an outstanding performance against the Seattle Mariners on Saturday. I think they let Jordan Lyles throw maybe like 150 pitches. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but it was probably in the 120, 125 range. But a really good performance from Jordan Lyles. A couple of guys who haven't handled the change so well. Man, Garrett Cole. So, Cole, first start before the changes took place, but after the announcement was made against Minnesota, really good. Then a couple of really poor performances. Things that we haven't seen out of Garrett Cole since the days when he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates. Did not get out of the fourth inning against the New York Mets, a game that the Yankees eventually lost in the first game of a doubleheader on Sunday. Lucas Giolito against the Detroit Tigers in Detroit did not look like himself, has not looked like himself since this change occurred. We'll see what happens with him moving forward. Perhaps the guy who looks lost most of all of these pitchers is Garrett Richards. Just an enormous drop in velocity, whether it's his fastball, his curveball. He delivered another difficult performance against Oakland in Oakland on Saturday evening. A lot more to come on this. We'll see if these pitchers can figure it out. And hopefully for those teams, particularly the New York Yankees and the contract that they have with Garrett Cole, hopefully he can get this figured out, get a way to grip the ball, and get a way to deliver as the season moves forward. Chicago Cubs, talked about it last week here on this same broadcast, that the Cubs, Zach Davies, and a number of relievers managed to no-hit the Los Angeles Dodgers. Well, they haven't won a game since, so maybe we'll call this the curse of Zach Davies moving forward. And then injuries. Man, Kyle Schwarber was on a tear, an absolute tear, in the top 5 in home runs in Major League Baseball. He suffered a significant hamstring injury. Named to the All-Star team, that's positive. He probably won't play. That's negative. Definitely won't play in the All-Star game, and he's going to miss significant time moving forward. That's the recap of the week in Major League Baseball. Going to focus on a 9-game slate on Monday night for the picks, the fantasy baseball picks here, beginning with pitchers. And I see no reason to pay up. There's not a lot to pay up for, quite honestly. A couple of guys I like. I'll begin in Pittsburgh. Max Fried, finally healthy, finally off the injured list. He goes against the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pirates, again, a team that individually very talented, but of late they just haven't been putting it together. They are almost dead last in run creation in the league over the last couple of weeks against left-handed pitching. They don't strike out a ton, but at 8.5, I think Max Fried has the stuff, and I think that's a fair price point for him in this matchup. Max Fried, by the way, the guy who as a pinch hitter delivered the winning hit and the winning RBI for the Braves on Sunday afternoon. I think he'll take that good mojo over into Pittsburgh on Monday night against the Pittsburgh Pirates. Another guy that I like coming off a rough outing in Cincinnati, Joe Musgrove. He gets the Washington Nationals at home. Talked about how Kyle Schwarber is going on the injured list. The Nats have to make that coast-to-coast trip. The Padres do too. So maybe there won't be a lot of scoring in this game as a whole, considering the ballpark and the cool weather. But Joe Musgrove at 8.7 on DraftKings against the Washington Nationals on Monday night. Like that price point a lot. If you pair him and Max Fried, you're going to easily be able to fit the offensive pieces that I'm going to talk about here in a minute when I talk about stacks. But I talked about good mojo, and I'm wearing a Run Pure Showdown shirt, right? Talked about Run Pure Sports. Talked about joining Run Pure Sports using code RPSHeater25 and getting $100 off of your first month's payment. Well, guess what? Run Pure is on a heater, an absolute heater, led by Big T44 at Big T44 on Twitter.com and JSU Rob. They have been leading us through these showdown slates. Big T with another big night in the showdown last night with the Hawks losing, sadly, because I'm in Atlanta and I wanted the Hawks to win. But losing to the Bucks moving on to the Suns. Look, there's a Millie Maker. That's right, there's a Millie Maker showdown on DraftKings on Thursday night. Run Pure Sports, Run Pure Showdowns, gonna be all over it. That's why RPS Heater 25. It's not $100. I might have misspoken. It's $25 off your first month payment. But get on over, Run Pure Sports, runpuresports.com. We've got content for every single showdown, live shows. In fact, much to my amazement and a lot of people's amazement, and maybe the community's amazement, these guys went live on Saturday night from the boat, from the lake, just to give our subscribers the winners, and they were winners on the showdown, Bucks vs. Hawks on Saturday night. So Run Pure Showdowns, definitely a thing. As far as offenses on the Monday night slate, look, there's a couple of stacks that are, I think, maybe a little bit off the board. And I'm going to start with one that nobody has been playing, but they've just been absolutely delivering. This team is hot. This manager has them playing well. I'm talking about A.J. Hinch and the Detroit Tigers. And A.J. Hinch and the Tigers, man, A.J. Hinch has been through a rough road. The Tigers have been through a rough road. But they've got some really, really talented pieces here. And in particular, they've been putting the wood to these left-handed pitchers. And they take on Colby Allard on Monday night in Texas. Hate the park. Love this Detroit Tigers offense. I love them in particular against left-handed pitching. Colby Allard has been good. Don't get me wrong. He had a nice start, and I used him in the start against the Oakland A's last week. But this team, Detroit Tigers, top 3 in run creation against left-handed pitchers, not just over the last couple of weeks, but on the season. And so we have Eric Haas, who hit 2 homers on Saturday. One against Dallas Keuchel, I think one against the bullpen. He's just 4.3. He's catcher or outfield eligible on DraftKings. Jonathan Scope, a incredible turnaround, maybe the comeback player of the year. He is first base and second base eligible, 5.6K. Daz Cameron is still stone minimum, 2.0 outfielder. All he does when he gets on base is steal every other base in his path before he scores. So he's 2.0. I guarantee you he's going to get 10 points here. There's no question. If Prize Picks had a line for Daz Cameron that was 8 or under, I would just simply take the over. And then Robbie Grossman, who should be leading off in this matchup, 3.7, like the Detroit Tigers, quite a bit here in this matchup against Colby Allard and the bullpen, which has been better of late, but still, I like this Tigers team, like their talent, like the way that A.J. Hinch has them playing. Second stack I'm going to go with the Boston Red Sox get a matchup with Jose Suarez. Jose Suarez up and down throughout his career, but I don't think that he's any match for this Boston Red Sox team. One of the best in baseball. Believe it or not, a Boston team flying under the radar. And I don't know how that's possible, but maybe because so much of the attention in baseball is on a lot of these other teams that are struggling. The Red Sox, they just day in and day out. They keep doing it. They keep winning. Talked about it earlier. 1-0 win in Oakland today. Like a lot of these pieces. Kike Hernandez, Enrique Hernandez, outfield 4.6, leading off, almost a lock against a left-handed pitcher. You've got JD Martinez. You're going to pay up for him at 6-0. You're going to pay up for Xander at 5-5, and you're going to pay up for Hunter Renfroe at 4-7. But once you get past Jose Suarez, well, you get one of the worst bullpens in Major League Baseball for the Los Angeles Angels. I like this Boston Red Sox stack a lot tonight. Tigers, Red Sox, pair them with Fried and Musgrove. I think that's my early lean here. And again, things could change. So that's why you should be a member at runpuresports.com. Enter RPS Heater 25% off your first month's payment, and join the movement. Close out the 4th of July weekend show with a couple of bets I like. Talked about liking the Red Sox and the Tigers, so I'm going to give you a couple of bets that involve the Red Sox and the Tigers. Boston's money line on DraftKings right now sits at -103. I think that's fantastic value for a team that doesn't have to travel all that far, only going down to Southern California from Oakland. I know from experience it's about an hour flight. Not a big deal. -103 on DraftKings. Get that in right now. I think that's really good value for this matchup for the Red Sox. And then the Tigers, +1.5, run line -155. Man, I think that's a pretty good value considering that they're taking on a pitcher in Colby Allard who they can get to, who they have dominated left-handed pitching since the beginning of this season. You can even parlay them. Boston money line -103 and Detroit Tigers +1.5 at -155. I think that's some pretty good value there. Once again, things could change, and besides the fact that things could change, we're going to have that showdown content for the NBA Millie Maker on Thursday. RunPureSports.com. Enter code RPS here 25. Get 25% off of your first month's payment. Follow me at JTHayes Jr. on Twitter.com. And when you come over to RunPureSports.com tomorrow, we're going to have a playbook. We're going to have core plays. We're going to have everything you need, including on the bet side for the Monday night slate. Run Pure. Good luck. Happy 4th of July.